In what can only be described as one of the most dramatic falls in NFL draft history, Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, once projected as a potential first-round pick, watched helplessly as 143 players were selected before him. The Cleveland Browns finally ended his agonizing wait, trading up to select Sanders with the 144th overall pick in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft. As the NFL world tries to make sense of this stunning development, a video from last year has resurfaced, showing none other than 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady offering Sanders some blunt advice that now seems eerily prophetic. The timing couldn't be more striking, coming just days after Sanders' unexpected plummet through the draft boards shocked football analysts and fans alike. During a podcast appearance with Deion Sanders last year, Brady was asked about Shedeur's well-documented affinity for luxury vehicles. The young quarterback had purchased a Rolls-Royce Cullinan worth an estimated $500,000 and even gifted his brother a Tesla Cybertruck, extravagant purchases that raised eyebrows considering Sanders was still in college at the time. Brady's response was direct and unfiltered. "I think he needs to get his he in the film room and spend as much time in there as possible and less time in the car." What seemed like lighthearted banter at the time has taken on new significance as reports emerge about why NFL teams were hesitant to draft the talented quarterback. The resurfaced clip has now gone viral on social media, with many fans and analysts pointing to Brady's comments as a warning sign that everyone, including Sanders himself, should have heeded. Sanders' journey from potential first-round talent to fifth-round selection has left analysts stunned. The son of NFL legend Deion Sanders completed 74% of his passes in 2024, throwing for 4,143 yards and 37 touchdowns as Colorado's quarterback. Those impressive numbers made him the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year and led many draft experts, including ESPN's Mel Kiper, to rank him as one of the top quarterback prospects in the class. Each of those numbers led all Big 12 quarterbacks, noted one analyst, highlighting Sanders' statistical dominance in his final collegiate season. Despite his on-field success, Sanders tumbled down draft boards for reasons that appear to have more to do with personality than performance. The draft weekend began with high expectations, as Sanders attended Thursday night's first round in a black leather jacket and large diamond pendant, each carrying his signature logo, a $sign with a superscript 2, clearly anticipating an early selection that never came. As the excruciating wait extended from Thursday through Friday and into Saturday, speculation ran wild about what could have caused such a precipitous fall. By the time the Browns finally called Sanders' name, the narrative had shifted dramatically from "when will he be picked" to "why did he fall so far?" ESPN draft reporter Matt Miller revealed that Sanders made critical missteps during the pre-draft process. "I didn't think that they handled the process well," Miller said, pointing to Sanders' decision to skip individual throwing workouts at the NFL Combine and his failure to participate in the East-West Shrine game despite accepting an invitation. The NFL has this new rule that if you accept an invite to an all-star game, you have to participate. And he didn't, Miller explained. "So I said on TV that they were not handling the process well, and I thought it would hurt him. People were not happy with me." Perhaps most damaging were reports about Sanders' performance during team interviews. Multiple sources indicated that NFL teams were put off by Sanders' demeanor during these crucial meetings. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported that one longtime NFL assistant coach described Sanders' formal interview as the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life, adding that Sanders came across as entitled with horrible body language. An AFC executive offered similar feedback, stating their interview didn't go great, and that Sanders seemed to want to dictate what he's going to do and what's best for him. "He makes you feel small." These reports painted a picture of a young quarterback who may have believed his draft position was secure regardless of how he approached the process, a stark contrast to the hunger and humility that teams typically seek in franchise quarterbacks. The irony of Brady's advice isn't lost on NFL observers. Brady himself was famously overlooked in the 2000 NFL Draft, falling to the 199th pick before becoming the greatest quarterback in NFL history. His legendary work ethic and commitment to film study became the foundation of his unprecedented success, exactly the qualities he seemed to be encouraging in Sanders. Now Sanders faces a similar opportunity to prove the doubters wrong, albeit with considerably more hype and scrutiny than Brady faced as an unknown sixth-rounder from Michigan. The parallel becomes even more compelling considering Brady's own draft day slide, which became the motivational fuel that powered his historic career. Some analysts have even suggested that this humbling experience could be exactly what Sanders needs to reach his full potential. The question now becomes whether he will use this setback as motivation, as Brady did, or allow it to derail his confidence. The Cleveland Browns made a strategic move by selecting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, seeing untapped potential where other teams saw risk, after already drafting Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel in round 3. Browns GM Andrew Berry traded picks 166 and 192 to Seattle to secure Sanders at 144 overall. "We felt like it got to a point where he was probably mispriced relative to the draft," Berry explained. "The acquisition cost was pretty light, and it's a guy that we think can outproduce his draft slot." Cleveland had thoroughly evaluated Sanders throughout the pre-draft process, meeting him at the East-West Shrine Bowl, the NFL Combine, and hosting him on a top 30 visit. This extensive research gave them confidence despite the concerns that caused other teams to pass. Sanders enters a quarterback room featuring veteran Joe Flacco, 40, former first-rounder Kenny Pickett, and fellow rookie Gabriel. With Deshaun Watson sidelined by an Achilles injury, Sanders could compete for meaningful playing time despite his draft position. As Sanders embarks on his NFL journey, Brady's advice serves as the perfect roadmap. Prioritize film study over flashy cars. In professional football, luxury items mean nothing compared to preparation and performance. "Thank you, God," Sanders tweeted after being selected, showing humility. In his first Browns press conference, he diplomatically avoided dwelling on his draft slide. "Anything outside the organization is really a non-factor to me now." Sanders appears determined to make a strong impression. "I know I'm going to fit in perfectly," he stated. "It's first getting in, showing respect to the vets, showing them I'm here ready to work." The quarterback who once drove a $500,000 Rolls-Royce now faces his greatest challenge, proving he belongs in the NFL. Brady's advice has never seemed more relevant: less time in luxury cars, more time in the film room. He was supposed to be a first-round headline, an elite quarterback with swagger, stats, and a last name that echoes through NFL history. But when Shedeur Sanders fell all the way to the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, the football world erupted with confusion, controversy, and finger-pointing. And amid the silence from NFL executives, one voice rang out loud and clear: his mother's. Pilar Sanders, unbothered and unapologetic, stepped into the spotlight with a message of pride, legacy, and refusal to bow to criticism. Shedeur Sanders entered the draft process with a full resume. At the University of Colorado Boulder, he thrived under his father, Deion Sanders' coaching. In 2023, Shedeur passed for over 3,200 yards, threw 27 touchdowns, and maintained one of the lowest interception rates in his division. Despite this performance and his national media presence, he was not picked until the 144th selection by the Cleveland Browns. He was expected by some analysts to go in the 1st round. Even teams like the Steelers were speculated to be interested, but reportedly passed, perhaps influenced by internal opinions and outside commentary. Fans were stunned. Critics pointed fingers, and questions swirled. Was it personality, media perception, or bias against the Sanders name? Days after the draft, Pilar Sanders took to Instagram with a defiant message. She posted a video montage of her children, Shedeur, Shiloh, and Shalomi, with the caption, "Confident ladies produce confident babies, no apologies." She followed that with another message after both Shedeur and Shiloh landed NFL opportunities. 2 sons, 1 league, greatness is in the bloodline. This is more than football, it's a legendary legacy for the Headache Gang. Words cannot describe this feeling. Her words weren't about consolation. They were a call to recognize hard-earned success. Her pride was not only in their achievements, but also in their ability to stand tall in the face of public doubt and systemic dismissal. Behind the scenes, some team scouts reportedly labeled Shedeur as cocky and cited his combine interviews as among the worst they'd ever experienced. His confident responses, including, "You think I'm worried about what critics say? You know who my dad is? They hated on him too," fed into a perception that may have influenced decisions. But the controversy didn't stop there. On day 2 of the draft, Shedeur received a prank phone call from Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. Posing as a representative of the New Orleans Saints, Jax falsely informed Shedeur of a draft selection. The fallout was immediate. The Falcons were fined $250,000, and Jeff Ulbrich personally fined $100,000. Jax issued a public apology, calling it selfish and childish. Shedeur remained composed. "It didn't really have an impact on me," Sanders told reporters. "Of course, I feel like it was a childish act, but everybody does childish things here and there." That moment, though embarrassing, became a defining snapshot of Shedeur's maturity in the face of immaturity. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, is a Hall of Famer and a headline magnet. As head coach at Colorado, he brought attention, celebrities, and critics to the program. Many questioned if the circus surrounding him hurt his son's draft stock. Deion himself has always been unapologetic, but when the theatrics overshadow performance, NFL front offices tend to grow wary. Drafting Shedeur, in the eyes of some, meant also signing up for the Prime effect. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, Coach Prime elevated Colorado's visibility, bringing in top talent and nationwide TV coverage. On the other, that spotlight became too hot for traditional teams uncomfortable with noise off the field. The question became, were they judging Shedeur's skill or reacting to his father's image? One of the most glaring narratives involved Arch Manning. Though highly touted, Manning has yet to prove himself at the college level. Still, his name keeps him in headlines. Shedeur, on the other hand, delivered on the field, but found himself dropped from conversations when it mattered most. The media's double standards were not lost on fans. It raised the question, is talent enough when perception plays such a massive role in shaping opportunity? For some, the comparison cut deep. While one quarterback with the right last name and little on-field action is celebrated as the future, another, with stats and real-world pressure performance, is labeled problematic. While Shedeur handled the chaos, his brother Shiloh took his own route. He wasn't drafted, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offered him a contract as a free agent. Shiloh earned that chance with a solid senior season at Colorado, starting 10 games and recording 67 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries, including 1 returned for a touchdown. He also had 2 games with 10-plus tackles, peaking with 13 tackles in a November 23rd matchup against Kansas. He showed versatility, leadership on the field, and the kind of instincts that defensive coordinators crave. Despite being undrafted, the Buccaneers brought him in based on ability, not name value. The Buccaneers have a track record of keeping undrafted players who prove themselves. Shiloh now enters rookie minicamp with a real opportunity. If he sticks, it'll be because he earned it, not because of who his dad is. Pilar's statements aren't just motherly pride, they've become a lens to evaluate deeper issues in sports: representation, recognition, and respect. Her public messages reflect the frustration of many who've seen talent dismissed because it doesn't fit the mold. Shedeur and Shiloh represent not just a football family, but a larger movement of athletes pushing against outdated perceptions. Their journey mirrors broader societal challenges, where confidence in athletes of color is too often recast as arrogance, and where legacy is treated with suspicion rather than honor. In a world where many young athletes lash out at setbacks, Shedeur displayed poise. His calm reaction to the prank, composed demeanor through media scrutiny, and refusal to attack critics reflect a maturity that NFL teams should be valuing. Yet somehow, that grace was overlooked. His draft fall became a symptom of the league's deeper issue with how it judges character. When confidence is penalized and humility overlooked, the system starts to reveal its biases. The Sanders family didn't respond with bitterness, they responded with resilience. They didn't retreat, they reloaded. In Cleveland, Shedeur steps into a quarterback room with stiff competition. He'll have to earn every rep, but the Browns have been known to let talent rise. If Shedeur performs in training camp and preseason, the same voices that doubted him may soon sing a different tune. The team has a history of unexpected breakout stories. If Shedeur can channel the same fire that fueled his college dominance, there's no reason he can't climb the depth chart. He isn't just fighting for a roster spot, he's challenging the system that underestimated him. Shiloh Sanders hasn't just supported her sons, she's amplified their journey. She's called out inconsistencies, confronted criticism, and reminded the sports world that confidence isn't a crime. Shedeur and Shiloh are not just NFL prospects, they are a test case, a reflection of how the league handles legacy, personality, and performance. And whether the world sees it now or later, their impact is already being felt. This isn't the story of a fifth-round fall. It's the start of a legacy that refuses to be dismissed. No apologies necessary. If you believe stories like Shedeur and Shiloh's deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because this isn't just sports, it's a legacy in motion.